other one, I don't know. Not super aggressive for sure. I don't know. I should go read their papers, and then I could probably figure it out.
Would you ideally be working with all ENTPs, or would that be too much? Too much
No,
effort?
probably not. Probably like I want like an INTP and an INTJ and I don't know. I guess really I'd probably, I would be inclined to pick like all NTs.
I think an ISTP would be a good group
Yeah, an
project.
ISTP might be good for that. Probably, yeah. An
The
ISTP would be
INTPs
good.
are
INTP,
lazier.
INTJ, and an ISTP. And me. My army of thinking introverted thinkers.
Like when I had group projects, I was like the worst partner, honestly. Like zero communication, and then just like showed up the day of with it done, and my group members didn't really know
Yeah.
what to expect.
Group projects are bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm usually like I always end up doing a little bit more than my share, and if there's somebody that I find is competent, I feel like is competent enough to kind of be in charge, I'll let them sometimes, just so that I can be lazier. But more often than not, it ends up being like, all right, you're like, okay, I'm giving you guys all slack. Let's be egalitarian kind of here, and then you realize you're like, nope, somebody has to actually like crack the whip, and so it usually ends up being me.
Oh, how they fail when you give them a chance.
So true. That's exactly what it is, though. You're like, please, give you all the chances. Okay, fine. Since this actually has a resulting effect on my existence, I guess, then I shall.
I would get so nervous like presenting in front of class that like one of my group partners mentioned that like I started taking on like a British accent.
Chop, 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 chop. You just start saying chop, chop, chop.
Like you totally bombed, Brandon. You just kept saying chop.
I think I only get kind of like the bothersome part of like doing a presentation for me was always the time, because trying to like be like, you have 5 minutes, and that's an awkward amount of time, and you're just like,
Like, how am I gonna stretch this and make it 5 minutes?
No, it's not usually. Well, it's like one of those things. Yeah, if you have like the bare bones, you're like, here's the real bare bones description. I'm inclined to be concise and persistent. It's like, all right, that doesn't take 5 minutes. But if you really want to hear about it, then I want to like talk for indefinitely or for quite a bit longer. I don't know. I actually always kind of enjoyed projects that required a presentation because I thought they were easy. It sure beat a test. Yeah, my intuition tells me this group project will go better than my last group project.
Last group project, you were the only one who came out alive.
Well, it would have been that way had the other people been within, striking distance, probably. It's the curse. I have lamented before the curse of the problem with doing group projects, group work with people on the internet is that you can't physically threaten them as easily, There's not much you can do to them, so you're like, okay, how shall I motivate you? It's just easier to make people do what I want in person. I don't know. I'm pretty good at getting INTPs to do stuff.
Yeah, tell them to do stuff and they'll do it if it's worth doing.
Yeah, don't give them busy work. But I think my standard expectation, I was thinking about it, is if everybody else in the group does approximately 50% of what I do, then we'll be okay. So we only have to make up.
Very optimistic, Audra.
Well, you can occasionally get somebody who actually does quite a bit of work.
And you just call them everybody else in the group.
I think the biggest problem is like probably that it takes some people more time to do work or something. I've had that happen. It's like, okay, I give you, do this. It's not that hard, but it has to work. That's usually what I'm like, it's a smaller thing, but I'm like, but it's kind of try to find things that are smaller and self-contained. Be like, all right, you do this and make it work. And don't make me have to know what's going on behind the scenes. Just, I need it to.
But Audra, could you help me? Could you help me with this though, Audra? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do.
I wouldn't even mind that, but they never ask. They just give you something that doesn't work right before the deadline.
Audra, are these sentences that I wrote about my pineapple that I had, is that good enough? I think I spelled most of the words correctly.
I built a database that you can't use, but here it is. I always build in a final deadline that gives me time where usually everybody has to submit everything to me. And then I have at least one, like 4 hours, which is a long time. Sometimes longer. I usually have one night to go over it and try to fill in as many holes or mesh as many things as I can. Group papers are terrible though. It's like I've had to do some of those. Group papers written by not, writers, by technical people. And you're like, okay, just give me all of the things, and I'll rewrite it and not sleep that night. And then we'll get a good grade. I won't really tell them that, but it's usually what happens. Are you asking me if they usually do what I want? They usually do some semblance of what I want. Although I have a tendency to expect, I guess, a certain level of competence, and I sometimes get in trouble for that. The trick is always volunteering to do more than they are. But then the benefit of doing more work is that I usually pick the work that I want to do, or that I'm better at. I usually don't end up doing that. I also don't worry about it. So I basically go, okay, I'm doing enough of the work that this part of it I know will be okay, and I can prove that I'm already responsible for and doing enough work that if the other people don't do work, then I would, and I really hate to do it, but I've had to do it once or twice, talk to the teacher and say, hey, I did half of the work, and yeah, I know this doesn't work, but my part's nice. So, maximum expectation of all possible outcomes. But the best is when I can, people are good and they will do little pieces, and then I can just kind of put them all together and do the design work. That's what usually happens. I do the design work. And then if you can give the other members really, like I said, the way it works best is if you can give people well-defined things to do, so they know exactly what it is they're supposed to do. They don't really have to guess. They don't have to redesign. They don't have to know what anybody else is doing. They just have to do that piece. And I mean, that's part of the design too, is trying to design something that you can kind of compartmentalize that way.
Hello.
Hey. No. I don't threaten them. I don't like the atmosphere that creates. You don't want them, if you can prevent a kind of environment that seems like that, it's better. And also, it's one of those things, it depends on how badly it goes. If it's just going a little bad, then if it's going really bad, then I'd probably pull out the stick. But the carrot's always better. Yeah, when they get to that point, but not initially. It's not. I don't like to start the project